Good evening, and welcome to Dave's Delights. I'm Dave, and as always, I'm delighted that you're here spending this time with me. Today, we're going to make stuffed clams. This is one of my favorite things. When I was a kid, we would have stuffed clams, not at home, but when we would go out, anytime I could find them, I would find them, and I would eat them. And they were big at festivals, they were big, they were a very popular item, and man, did I love them. So today we're going to make some because when I was at the fish market, they had some really nice cherry stones. They didn't have quahog size, but these are nice. I can work with these. I just make a couple more of them. So what I'm going to do is I've got boiling water here, and I've also preheated an oven to 350 degrees so that we're ready for both steps. But this water, I'm going to get it back to the boil. I'm going to put these clams in. They've been sitting all day in, just to calm down and try to filter some of the sand out. Best thing you can do with that. Drop them in some water, let them filter a little bit. That'll get all the gunk that might be in them out before you start cooking them. Otherwise, you might have gritty clams. So first off, I've got probably about 20 of these, but anywhere between 10 and 20, depends on however many fit in your pot or how many you can get on a baking sheet. Because we're going to take the clam meat and turn it into something else. And the clams themselves, the shells, are going to be our delivery device. But let's get to doing it. Clams. Pot, in they go. By the way, it's warm in here. Oh, I can see all the gunk that they've dumped off. That's excellent. I think I got room for a couple more here. That's all I can fit. Looked like about 20. You put a lid on it, you get it back up to boil. And then we let these things boil. We let them boil for about 12 minutes. All the clams should have opened at that point. At that point, you can turn them off, let them cool to the point where you can handle them, and then we take the clam meat out. And when we get to that part, I'll bring back to us, and we can see how that all looks before we go ahead and make the filling. So pay attention. I'll be back. Welcome back. So now I've gotten the clams out, and you see they've all opened up. Now, if you get a clam that doesn't open after the 12 minutes of cooking, or every other one is open and that one isn't, throw that clam away. That clam was probably dead before it got in there. Luckily, all of mine opened up this time. But now we've got this nice steaming water that now has clam juice in it, and it's got a lot of flavor going. So, when we do a good old clam bake, you would put your corn and your potatoes in in layers with everything and let it all go until it all cooks. But in this case, we're going to put these potatoes and corn in after. Because we're going to be making the stuffed clams in the oven. So right now, into this boiling, steaming, flavorful water, I'm going to put in some red potatoes and some shucked ears of corn that I've cut in half. Lid goes on, temp goes back up to a boil, and we're going to let that go until it goes to a boil. Then we're going to bring it down to low and just let it steam nice and slow for about 10-15 minutes. And a good way to check is just kind of plunge your knife into one of the potatoes. When it slides in nice and smooth, you know everything's ready. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to take all the meat out of these clams. So you're going to pop the body of the meat out, put the clam shell over there. Body of the meat out, and you leave that foot behind. You don't need the foot, and you really don't want to eat it. See, body of the shell, inside the shell, there's the clam, pops right out, boom. So I'm going to do all of these, and then I'm going to take these shells and I'm going to separate them, because this is what we're going to put our meat in. Anyhow, I'll get back to you once I've got this stuff ready to go. All right, welcome back. So we have taken the clam meat and we've minced it up, and we have cleaned and separated all the shells. And now I'm going to start working on the stuffing. I'm going to start by taking what is this, about a quarter cup of minced onions, and I'm going to saute that till it starts getting clear. And that's what I've got in here is I've got a whole stick of butter, so this is rich. So we're going to saute this quarter cup of minced onion in the butter. I got to get the temperature back up here. You see, it doesn't take too long, and it's going to start softening up. And that's what I'm looking for. See how it's getting that little steamy, really cooking. And then I'm going to add in a clove of minced garlic. Stir that around too. And that's looking real good. So now I'm going to put in chopped 4 pieces of bacon, four slices of cooked bacon that I've chopped up. 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh parsley. A tablespoon of lemon juice. I'll stir that up real nice. And it's time to add the clam meat. I've got all this chopped up clam meat. I'm just going to let all that come together. And then I'm adding in a cup of Italian breadcrumbs. And 2 tablespoons of the clam juice. Bring that heat down to low. And I'm going to mix this until it makes a nice paste. Now, if it gets too dry, I can add more of the clam juice. I reserved a bunch of it. And this looks like it could use some. But that's going to depend on your day. You know, with the humidity and everything else, sometimes it's going to be more than others. And you can see, this is more meaty than it is bready. You'll see a lot of these where it's like it's all breadcrumbs and then there's a piece of clam in there. I like it the other way around. I want it to be the binder of the bread is there to hold it together, and that's basically it. It's the meat, it's the vegetables. That's what's making this happen. Good. All right. So this now needs to sit for 5 to 10 minutes to kind of set up. I want it to make sure that it's all the way moist all the way through, just like you would with any other stuffing. And once that's done, we're going to stuff our clams. Okay, so we now have our meat ready to go, and we have our shells ready to go, and we have an oven preheated to 350 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these shells, which I've cleaned and washed. I even scrubbed them to make sure there was nothing left on them. And I'm going to take my meat, and I'm going to dig in and get a shell full. and I'm gonna press it down. Press it down like this, so it's just filling up the clamshell. And I work my way through a row of these. Piece of bacon, just like that. Now, as you can see, this part goes pretty quick. I've got nice clean washed hands. Wash your hands, so I don't have to worry about using my hands. But if you didn't want to touch this stuff with your hands for whatever reason, or well, if your hands are dirty, just wash your hands. But if there's some other reason why you didn't want to touch the food ahead of time, you could easily use a scoop. I'm going to wash it anyway, so you could use a scoop like that if you liked, or just a spoon. And you can see I'm making them into rows. We'll see how many this produces. Because if you think about it, you get a bunch of clams, but most of a clam is the shell. So once you get down to the actual meat part, it really doesn't end up being all that much meat. So far I have 7. All right, as you can see, that doesn't take very long. Let me finish putting these all together, because it's probably gonna be a couple trays worth, and then I will get back to you for the final preparations before we put things in the oven. Okay, now we have 12 clams here stuffed and ready to go, and we are doing our final preparations. I like taking a little bit of paprika and just basically dusting over the top of them. And then I'm going to give it a little squeeze of the lemon. Just a little bit on each one. We'll do more after with service. All right. The other thing you can do is you could put grated Parmesan on these, so it'll make a cheesy crust on the top. Personally, I don't eat cheese, so I wouldn't do that, but you certainly could. There'd be nothing wrong with doing that in the recipe, and I think the vast majority of people would like that. In which case, when you put these in the oven, it's almost all the way cooked already. So you're gonna talk about 20 to 25 minutes. If you're using the cheese, just look for when the cheese gets brown and crusty. When it melts down and then gets that real nice brown finished look on the top of it. Otherwise, 20 minutes and your clams are out and ready to serve. They're going in. And I'll see you then. Okay, and we're back. And the alarm has gone off. The clams are done in the oven, and the corn and the potatoes are finished, and everything's ready to put together. So let me grab the clams. I don't like using my bare hands, but sometimes you have to. Oh yeah. And these smell and look real nice. So these are really nice clams, stuffed clams. And with that little bit of bacon, they can have that little extra punch. Because as you know, bacon goes really well with just about every type of shellfish. Man, I'm salivating just looking at them. Now, as you can see, that's really nice looking. But if you were a cheese eater, it would then have that crusty cheese coating over the top, which will help kind of keep it all in even better. On this, squeeze a little bit of lemon. If you're so inclined, you can put cocktail sauce on the side for people. But maybe a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Call it good. This is a meal. So let me go ahead and plate it up. On this size, because these are a little smaller than a quahog, I would probably do 2 or 3, kind of whatever your plate can handle. Just so. Bon appetit. Let me try it again. Bon appetit. This all looks good. So, you guys have now figured out a wonderful way to have a very nice meal, quite easily. You just got to find some good clams. Talk to your fish man. He can probably get them for you. Usually they pretty much are available almost everywhere. Now, it's been a wonderful time. I'm glad that you're here, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a good night. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.